Now this is probably more for my own personal edification, but does every individual person have a resonant note that basically the harp can tap into for that Zen moment, if you will?
Frequency. It really is a frequency. And I'm very interested because I'm working with a group of scientists. And as a female and as a theologian who loves science, I'm really interested in why this frequency is happening. What I just wrote with two other authors, the original author was a gentleman out of the Beatitudes campus, Bob Callan, and then Glenn Ryan, one of these scientists that I'm working with. And we're working with Rudy Tanny from Harvard Medical, Deepak Chopra, who actually I carry this little love tuner, which Deepak promotes. It's 528 hertz, and it's supposedly the perfect love frequency. And so it's a perfect note on the harp too. So, you know, you understand that the harp has 48 strings, and so it vibrates at every single frequency of the body's energy fields. And so it goes into every single body part. And what happens is if a cell wakes up and says, oh, I feel good, rather than that pain or the anxiety, as we lower pain and anxiety quicker than any other instrument. It's the only instrument that vibrates at this frequency. We're meeting tomorrow, and I would appreciate a prayer with the head of Dignity Health. And it's working with this, getting ready for the opioid baby. We're doing clinical research. So I have 3 major clinical research projects going on proving what we're doing. So we're working with Phoenix Children's Hospital, 2 to 6-year-olds that have had holes in their hearts and it's post-op. We're working with the opioid babies at Dignity Healthcare. And then our third one is working with stem cells at Celebration Stem Cell Center, looking at what happens to the cells themselves after being activated by using, and I've been using live harp, MP3s, MP4s. I think the presence of the harpist sometimes adds to it, even with cells. And then we can actually look at the screen and see what happens with the cells in a controlled environment. And we don't have to get patient consents, you know, at stem cells. And they're one of our active partners. And so this is really the wave of the future in, you know, epidemiology and what we're doing with DNA and, you know, how electrical energy works in the, you know, just this divine moment of being with you. I feel obviously God directed it. So
what, in your opinion, is the importance of arts in our society?
Well, I do want to just share how theology and how our faith intersects with our health. And during these really difficult moments that so many people are having to go through with fear and uncertainty, what music does is it provides another way of looking at a higher frequency of love, of peace, of harmony, of unity. And music is the universal language. I'll just give you an example of a little baby. The baby's name is Angel. I didn't know what the baby's name was, but the baby had had 6 surgeries. It was at one of our children's hospitals. And the family was deciding whether or not they were going to have another surgery. The grandmother was at the bedside. This is only 2-year-old Angel. And she was in a mask, and, you know, the people were around, and the doctors and the family members are meeting in another room. And I start playing the harp, and I play one note, and you can see all the monitors change. And it's not intuitively, it's a resonant note that allows you to feel the frequency and the resonance of the room. So you can play the one note, and then you work around that note, playing a therapeutic music, which is, I start with entrainment, and then we move into opening up the heart. And then the baby, by the end of the gathering, the monitors were calm, and the mother came out of the waiting room, and she just started wailing. And, you know, at the time, I asked, "Como se llama?" And she said, "Angel." So it was a very meaningful moment for me, because our program that we play at the hospitals is called Angel Song Program. And so what we do after we play for the babies, we leave a harp CD to keep carrying on the music, and it's called the Angel Song Program CD. And there's a little 2-year-old that we've had wings put on the 2-year-old, and she got it. She said, seeing the baby at peace for the first time and having to go through another surgery. So what happened is, as I'm playing 3 doors down at another young person who was only 12 with cystic fibrosis, having problems breathing, I'm playing, my heart will go on in the harp. So for some reason I was playing more of that piece that they would recognize, and the lights turned off. And you knew that the baby had transitioned very peacefully and beautifully. And it started off with that one resonant note. So what happened is I played for 4 patients that day, and every one of the patients either stabilized or they transcended, which is oftentimes what the medical system can do to keep people on the next step, but their next step of the journey needed to be a spiritual one. And so the mother just hugged me. And I know we're not supposed to hug during this COVID time, but I gave her the CD, and she was just so appreciative, because it was just like a decision that was obviously needed to be made. And it was just beautiful. And I've never had a bad death. I can honestly say that, because I think our society is so worried about that phase of life, and it just allows people to get to the resonance of knowing that the frequency and the energy and the spirit does not die. It transcends. And so people felt that and knew that the next step of the journey was much better than what was going on with this poor little Angel.